Hi everybody, welcome to our lesson 2 of our expert series. So in this lesson, we're going to be looking at the digestion of the macronutrients, the proteins, the carbohydrates and the fats. And I think this is important because digestion is a key process in our bodies, and it's not only what we eat, it's what we digest and what we absorb, which is important. And fats can tend to be slightly harder for us to digest than proteins and carbohydrates, and that goes a long way to explaining why we recommend that you put fats into food, or why you put the Bestow beauty oil into smoothies and things before you consume it. So let's start. So there's two types of ways we digest. In fact, the digestion process is all about taking the large food that we eat and breaking it into tiny little pieces. And that can happen in two ways. It can happen physically by chewing our food or in our stomach as it churns, or it can happen chemically as well from the enzymes and digestive juices that we produce. So let's first look at carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, the beginning of digestion happens in the mouth, and we release little enzymes in our saliva. And then the next step doesn't occur until we get down here into the small intestine, and the pancreas releases certain enzymes that complete the digestive process, and then we get down here into the main area of the small intestine, and that is all absorbed. Proteins are similar. So proteins, the digestive process begins chemically. When they enter the stomach, we produce hydrochloric acid, and that chemically breaks them down. And then we enter into the small intestine, and again, enzymes, two enzymes from the pancreas are released, and they complete that digestion process, and the proteins are also absorbed. Now fats are different, and the problem with fats is that they don't mix very well with water, and unfortunately, in the case of fats, water is the basis of our digestive system. And you see that, say if you have diarrhea, you can see how much your digestive system is actually based on water. And because the food's passing through you so fast, it doesn't get a chance to reabsorb. And so that's the issue really, is fats and oils don't want to dissolve in that medium. And so our body has to first emulsify them, or make them mix with the water before they can even really begin the digestive process. And that's where we can kind of help the body out a little bit, but I'll tell you about that more in a moment. So fats. A little bit of digestion, chemical digestion occurs in the mouth, and then they pass right through the stomach, and it's not until they get here into the small intestine that the major digestion occurs. And what happens is we've got this little organ here called the gallbladder, and the gallbladder is responsible for concentrating bile that's made from the liver. And chemically it will get a message when we eat fats and oils, and it will contract and squirt out bile into the bile duct, and then that is then released into the small intestine. And what bile does is it emulsifies fats and oils, and it helps them break down. So say you've got a big blob of fat or oil, and the bile will break them down into tiny little blobs, and then the enzymes from your pancreas, like lipase, will also be released, and they can start to work on that little tiny blob of oil, whereas they would really struggle with this big blob. So that's basically what happens with fats. They would then move into the small intestine and again be absorbed. But the problem arises when we have problems with our digestive system, and unfortunately these days this is becoming more common. We find that because our digestive system likes it when we're relaxed, that's why they say rest and digest. When we're stressed and busy, it doesn't work so well, and people can really have trouble digesting fats. So the more we can do to take the pressure off the digestive system, the better. And one of the best ways you can take the pressure off the digestive system is to straight away be breaking those oils into tiny little blobs. So you could do this by adding it to a smoothie and then whizzing it, and that will break it down into such tiny little blobs you can't even see them with the naked eye. Even just pouring your beauty oil over your breakfast, or over cooked vegetables, as long as they're cool enough to eat, or using them in a salad dressing, will still help this process, because you're going to be chewing it in your mouth. What we don't want people to be doing is taking it off a spoon. And clients often do this because then they go, I know I got my tablespoon for the day. But in actual fact, what you're doing is by taking it off a spoon, you miss entirely that chemical digestion that begins in the mouth, and then you're taking that great big blob of oil all the way down here, and that's creating a huge job for your digestive system. So please mix your oils into food and encourage your clients to. And there's research that shows that mixing oils into food or emulsifying them before you consume them helps your absorption by up to 100%. Also be aware that there are a few signs that clients are not digesting their oils, and that's if they feel a little nauseous or sick after having them, or if they get loose bowels. That's showing that the digestive system struggling with it and that the oil's whizzing through and not being absorbed, and that kind of lubricates everything. So if clients are giving you are talking about symptoms like that, the best thing to do is to cut their dosage right down to even half a teaspoon or a teaspoon and emulsify it well in a smoothie or in yogurt or some other way that they enjoy taking it, and this really will help them digest because you're starting this digestive process before you even consume it, and then you can very slowly increase their dosage. So hopefully that helps you understand how fats are digested and why as a company we insist upon having our oils in a liquid form, and we don't believe in capsules because that's still oil in a blob, and you not only have a blob but now you've got to digest a capsule as well. So that's why we believe in liquid oils mixed into food and then consumed. It's more economical and more efficient for your client to get their EFAs.